I've seen a lot of madness and nonsense come out of our national broadcaster, the $1.2 billion taxpayer-funded monster that is the ABC. But this week's episode of Media Watch really took the cake for irrelevance and completely missing the point. Some immigration data was released a week or so ago by the Australian Bureau of Statistics, the ABS. And it showed that net permanent and long-term arrivals, what they call the NPLT, which is the government's measure of how many people are arriving in Australia to stay, in the 6 months to June 30 this year, reached a record 279,460, which if you divide it by 181, which is the number of days between January 1 and June 30, you get 1,544 per day. Okay, so that's a fact, right? 1,544. Keep that in your mind. Now, so that nobody accuses us of misleading with the data, let's be very clear about what the NPLT measures. It measures people who've never lived here, who arrive, and who've ticked their intention to stay permanently. And it also measures Australian citizens returning home after living away for more than a year. So they've been overseas for more than a year, they come back, they tick it, they're counted as well. It does not measure people returning home from short holidays abroad, though. So it is actually quite a good indicator of migration. It's not the best indicator. The best is the net overseas migration numbers, some people would say, and we'll come to that later. But the NPLT is a leading indicator that can reasonably be used to detect trends in new migration numbers. I repeat, for the ABC kids watching, it is a leading indicator which can be used to detect trends in new migration numbers, which is handy because migration numbers take a long time to come out. So here's how Sydney's 9 Media radio station 2GB reported it on their Ben Fordham breakfast show this week.
Well, we've got the latest immigration numbers. Get a load of this. Every day, Australia is taking in 1,544 new people. That's the equivalent of 5 fully loaded Boeing 787 Dreamliners.
Okay, so Ben's calculation is right, and it is the equivalent of 5 fully loaded 787 Dreamliners. But don't tell the lovies lost in their cultural groupthink echo chamber of left-wing self-righteousness at the ABC that. The ABC show that's supposed to be about watching the media for getting facts wrong decided that it didn't like the media getting the facts right in this case.
Hello, I'm Linton Besser. Welcome to Media Watch. And first tonight, the tsunami of migrants threatening to overwhelm the country, as Radio 2GB shock jock Ben Fordham explained last week.
Hold it right there, folks. I'm not letting that one go through to the keeper. There's the ABC's Media Watch doing exactly what it's supposed to catch other people out doing. Propaganda. They just smugly, quickly put down Ben Fordham as a shock jock, when all Ben Fordham is doing is presenting actual facts.
In the first 6 months of this year, we've had 279,000 arrivals. That's more people than the population of Hobart. 5 Dreamliners landing every day. 1 Canberra added every year. When's it going to stop?
Around the population of Hobart in 6 months, 1 Canberra every year. Wow. You would think that it's a reasonable question to ask when the number of people arriving to live in your country in the past 6 months is roughly equal to 1% of the entire population of the country. In fact, you'd think it might be a question that the national broadcaster should be asking in all seriousness. You might think it's a question that the ABC should be having actual, proper, serious debates on, balanced, sensible debates, instead of just smugly implying that to question excessively high levels of immigration is somehow evil and racist rather than just normal and sensible. But oh no, don't expect your billion-dollar national broadcaster to be that objective or self-aware.
So enthused by his Dreamliner analogy, Fordham continued taking to the sky.
Oh, you smug, patronising, condescending, self-righteous, ego-inflated... Ugh.
Over on Adelaide's 5AA, Graham Goodings was also rather fond of Fordham's clever airliner device.
Dreamliner after Dreamliner, jumbo jet after jumbo jet flying into this country. In every 3 years, another city the size of Adelaide, effectively.
Worse still, his fellow presenter warned these people might be diseased.
We don't know their vaccination history.
No.
So if they haven't had the measles or the chicken pox or whatever the case might be, there's a potential that that virus comes into our country.
Right-wing lobby group Advance used an AI-generated video to finesse the point.
1,544 new migrants every single day.
1,544 more people who need housing.
1,544 more people competing for jobs and schools.
Ah, memories of the campaign for Brexit.
What? Brexit? What the? By the way, that sickeningly patronising, badly acted voiceover there on the Advance Australia clip that they showed was not from Advance Australia, of course. It was from the ABC's Media Watch people. I used to work at the ABC. The way this normally plays out behind the scenes goes something like this. Hey, any of you guys want to jump in and do a smug, condescending, shouty voiceover to make fun of the political centre and ordinary Australians' worldview? It's fun. We've been doing it exactly the same way on Media Watch for about 40 years now. The joke never gets old. Believe me, guys, it's getting old. Here's a clue, Media Watch producers. The voice of mockery doesn't work when the facts and the data are actually correct and the assertions being made are fair. But that didn't stop Media Watch trying to muddy the waters with some good old polemic propaganda of their own.
So where did the 1,500 a day figure come from? Best we can see, it came courtesy of the Institute of Public Affairs, a conservative think tank which 11 days ago warned Australia's economy was being pummeled by excessive migration.
Ah, yes, of course. It came from the conservative think tank, the Institute of Public Affairs, those evil right-wingers who are all, right-wingy and everything. Boo, hiss. Except, as you know already, it didn't. Remember? It came from the Australian Bureau of Statistics. NPLT was 279,000 the 6 months leading up to June 30, which is 1,544 per day. But maths is not the ABC's strong point. Just as well, they're funded by taxpayers, or they'd never survive. Now, here's where the Media Watch report gets very, very funky indeed. Watch this next bit with a critical eye, and we'll explain in a moment what spin they're putting on it and what they seem to have accidentally left out.
All on the basis of data published by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. But most inconvenient for the media was this little disclaimer from the Bureau.
This data does not reflect the official ABS definition of migration and may lead to inaccurate interpretations.
And
Should not be used as a measure of overseas migration.
which the IPA did attempt to explain, and which the ABS also tried to drive home when it contacted those journalists so dazzled by the IPA's glittering calculations, before straightening out the record itself.
Multiple media stories have been published this week using overseas arrivals and departures data, which may lead to inaccurate conclusions on migration.
In fact, there are reliable migration numbers laying about. And what do they show?
Over the 12 months to 31st of December 2024, net overseas migration was estimated at 341,000, a decrease of 190,000, 36%.
Which paints a somewhat different picture, no?
No, it doesn't. Sorry. It paints exactly the same picture. The decrease is off an historically high base, something you guys just accidentally left out there. The fact is that we have too much too fast immigration in Australia, something the ABC simply does not ever want to even discuss, let alone admit. They want you to ignore the facts and focus only on the minutiae of whether the evil non-left-wing media are getting the numbers perfectly right. Well, we are getting the numbers right. The NPLT numbers are a powerful indicator of migration trends, even though they might not be super precise about exactly who is coming. But maybe the Media Watch kiddies don't know that the NPLT number is a commonly used early indicator. Oh no, they know.
And while, yes, the data has been used as an indicator of long-term migration trends, the experts we spoke to assured us that rather than being overwhelmed by migrants, in fact, we're getting fewer.
It is our expectation that net overseas migration will continue to fall when the next round of numbers is published in September.
We asked Ben Fordham about the figures and sadly we didn't hear back. On his show this morning, however, he insisted that even if the real numbers were lower, concerns about migration remain valid. With his guest, the economist Leith Van Onselen, explaining,
"They're not perfect, they're not as accurate as the official numbers, but we use them all the time because we have to."
Yeah, and we have to use them because, frankly, the ABS data is as confusing as all get out because they muddy it trying to get a clean measure of how many actual new migrants are coming into Australia is hard. The number the ABS and ABC prefer to use is the Net Overseas Migration Number, or NOM. The NOM is the number of immigrant arrivals minus the number of emigrant departures. It measures only people who've changed their usual country of residence for 12 months or more within a 16-month period. It includes non-citizens, such as skilled migrants and students, and Australian citizens who might be moving back home after living more than a year overseas. So given that is the number that the government is telling us we must look at, even though it's imperfect for our purposes really, let's see if we're being evil right-wing racist alarmists for questioning increases in immigration. Before the COVID debacle, Australia had net overseas migration of just under 250,000 a year. You could argue that in itself is high. Not many countries take in 1% of their population every year. Only Canada and Germany beat us, and the UK and US are well below that level. In the COVID years, this dropped significantly to an average of 93,000 a year. And in the 3 years since COVID, it's been huge. 1 million in the first 2 years of the Albanese government and an estimated 340,000 this year. These are financial years, by the way, so 2025 ended June 30, but the number isn't finalised yet. So why isn't the ABC focused on the many issues that come with this if this is the preferred measure that they want to use? Instead of scolding the rest of the media for reporting the trends, how about you doing your damn job, ABC, and facilitating a sensible national debate on the issue? Oh no, better to moralise from on high like a supercilious posturing elitist.
Because while immigration is an important public debate, it's also freighted with emotion, not least because the fear of foreigners is as old as time and too often has been drawn upon by outlets thirsting for audience.
Right. So the answer to that problem, the answer to the fact that debates about immigration will actually bring out actual racists, is to have a sensible debate, to enable the 99% of mainstream, normal, intelligent, non-racist Aussies like us, many of us immigrants and the descendants of immigrants ourselves, to discuss the matter. And the ABC is failing in its duty to do that. They would prefer to just mock and ridicule and dismiss the many, many Australians who are asking the very valid questions about the state of our country, our culture, and our economy, and whether immigration at these levels is actually healthy. There's nothing racist about that. So our message to the ABC, we're paying you. Do your damn jobs properly. Did you know that with a virtual private network or VPN on your computer, tablet or phone, you can log into your favourite streaming services like Netflix from home with an internet address from anywhere in the world and watch all the shows that they offer in other countries, including stuff in different languages? And using a VPN to route all your internet traffic through a third-party server means that big corporations and big government can't spy on you. If you sign up now with private internet access, we think they're the best VPN servers out there, as a viewer of The Other Side, you can get 83% off the price of your subscription and get online for less than $3 a month. Check it out right now. Go to piavpn.com/otherside. That's piavpn.com/otherside. It's a great service, a rock bottom price, and supporting our sponsor, you are helping to keep The Other Side going and growing. That was a segment clip from our weekly Friday night news show, The Other Side, which you can watch in full by simply going to YouTube and searching up The Other Side Australia. Then you'll find our full shows playlist. You can also find all of our full shows and our segments on our own website, othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Help us build a whole new Aussie media by joining us over there and joining up, signing up for the exclusive side.